Is a food truck tax deductible? How much does a food truck depreciate? In this video, we're going to go over food truck tax basics. I'm going to give you 5 specific but very big tax deductions that you can take for your food truck business here on Food Truck Freaks. We're going to get to that right now. Welcome back to Food Truck Freaks. We are YouTube's food truck entrepreneur channel, all dedicated to the food truck industry and creating you guys a successful food truck business. If you're brand new to our channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. We have dozens and dozens of videos we'll be uploading every single week with all kinds of great resources to help you get started. Now, in this video in particular, we actually are answering an email question that we got from our other YouTube channel, actually was Marketing Food Online. Definitely check out the links down below. We have multiple other food entrepreneur channels, but we got an email from someone who was looking to create a food truck business, but wasn't sure about the taxes and what he could actually take and deduct and depreciate. So I wanted to go over 5 specific things which most food truck startups may or may not have actually thought of, but could be hugely beneficial for you for tax purposes. So as many food truck owners know, basically regulations and rules differ significantly from state to state, even actually from your city to city and neighborhood to neighborhood. Every trailer, food truck, and kiosk, on the other hand, is obligated to pay taxes. So the type and quantity of money that you'll provide Uncle Sam is determined by the number of criteria. So I'm going to give you a list of 5 specific things that you need to look for. So the first one, number 1, now this is not in any particular order because honestly all 5 of these are equally as important. So make sure that you take some notes or bring this up to your accountant and run through a handful of these and let them know what you've got as far as tax deductible items. So number 1, of course, it's the food truck equipment. Now, large food truck equipment depreciation. You'll need a lot of expensive equipment, of course, when you establish your food truck. Now, which might cost you anywhere from tens of thousands of dollars up to maybe even $100,000. Anything from ovens, ranges, grills, generators, and other significant pieces of equipment must also be considered in addition to the up-to-code refrigeration systems. Now, while these are big, one-time tax deductions are feasible for certain things. Experts actually recommend, this is of course not any accountant advice. I'm not an accountant, so I'm not giving you accounting advice. So make sure you take this information to your accountant too. Experts actually recommend depreciating these expensive pieces of equipment over a few years to maximize tax benefits. Now, keep in mind, if a piece of equipment costs more than $500, depreciate it over time rather than entirely at once is a really good rule of thumb. Number 2, food truck event travel. So if you're going to different events across the nation, across the country, or even across, it doesn't matter, from city to city within your state, although many food truck operators stay in their immediate neighborhood, others travel across the country to participate in huge food truck festivals and competitions even. So each year, hundreds of these events take place across the U.S., and attending them can actually help you land some really big clients and perhaps land you a spot on one of the list of the best food trucks in the country. But when you're traveling, you got to keep in mind, of course, crossing state lines, necessities, paying for other hotel rooms if you're looking for meals, not to mention even gas. You can deduct these expenses from your taxes each year if you keep track of them, including receipts and departure and return dates. Make sure that you keep a log of everything that you're spending and, of course, receipts to prove it. So as you travel from state to state to do these different food truck events, all of those are expenses related to your food truck business and are tax deductible. So remember to track the events locations, the titles of the events as well. All of this too, the names of the events, because that gives you kind of a paper trail so that when your accountant says, hey, Damien, you know what? You traveled here and here. What were the name of the events? Where was it? What date? So you can prove that you've obviously been there. Now, keep in mind that your expenses will exceed the cost of the festival. So keep receipts and accounts for each of these expenses when you're calculating the total cost of the event as well. Now, also expenses for gas, lodging, if you're at a hotel or motel, if you're not obviously sleeping in your food truck, and food during the event, such as entrance fees, licenses, or permits that you might need for that event, even though it's in another state. That too is a tax deductible expense. Number 3, so the day in and day out use of your food truck, by the way, is hugely tax deductible. Okay, what does that mean specifically, Damien? So vehicle-related expenses are unavoidable while operating your food truck. So these tax deductions can be claimed in 2 different ways, actually. You can deduct either the usual mileage rate or the tax-related expenses relating to your food truck. Keep track of maintenance payments, such as, let's say you have an oil change. gasoline costs, if you're changing tires or you're maintaining your tires, and tolls, parking expenditures, if you're traveling and you have tolls. All those expenses for the tolls that you're traveling on the highways, those are also expenses. If you prefer to deduct vehicle-related expenses, keep track of those. If you want to deduct mileage, you will be paid a set sum per amount. Now, normally this is around, I believe it's 50 to 55 cents, somewhere in that range per mile. And that's a lot. So if you're traveling 100 miles, 200 to 300 miles, 50 cents per mile adds up. So make sure that, to ensure the accuracy of this, though, you'll need to actually keep track of your own miles. Some business owners keep track of both throughout the year and then claim them, the one that provides the largest tax deduction at the end of each year, which is a great idea if you want to save the most money. So there are numerous apps, by the way, even for your phone, that are available that can assist you in keeping track of your mileage through the year. Definitely take a look at those food truck apps and those for mileage. Number 4, your food truck insurance. Yes. You must obtain, of course, many forms of business insurance as the owner of a food truck to protect yourself, of course, the people who work for you, and even your business. The 4 most frequent types of insurances are, number 1, the mandatory policy coverages of any damage or liabilities if you're involved in a traffic collision, of course, while you're driving your food truck. So it's very similar to auto insurance, which is going to cover you in case your food truck ever gets into type of damage or even an accident. General liability. In order to obtain the proper licenses to operate your truck, most states actually require this type of a coverage. It protects you against any damage of property or personal injury caused by your company. All right, so next up is property insurance. So another suggested product is property insurance. Now, this actually protects your truck and its equipment in the event of an accident or even theft, vandalism or damage due to theft. This is something that property insurance will definitely cover for your food truck. Now, if you're hiring people and you've got employees, of course, you're going to need workers' compensation insurance. Now, this insurance actually is normally required if you employ anyone, and it protects your employees in the event that they are injured on the job within the food truck. Medical expenses or lost wages are frequently covered by this type of coverage. So you definitely want to include these in your insurance list as well. Lastly, number 5. So costs to actually operate the food truck. So food trucks have a variety of constant expenses. Of course, as you may or may not know, it's not something that just kind of set it and forget it. The most obvious being the cost of the actual food you're serving. Second, common expense is rent at a community or commissary kitchen or commercial kitchen as they're known. Now, keep in mind, too, this is really actually important because most states require food trucks to have a anchored commercial kitchen, meaning that they have to be attached to a actual physical address of a commercial kitchen where you're either preparing your ingredients, you're emptying out your dirty water for the day, you're sanitizing your truck, you're getting rid of trash and garbage. All of that's done normally at a commissary kitchen where your food truck must be attached to. These day-to-day items may not seem like a big ticket tax deduction, but they can actually add up very quickly. So definitely want to keep in mind the following. Number 1, condiments, beverages, foods. Okay, so obviously your food itself, the ingredients themselves, beverages, if you're serving those or just selling pre-made, prepackaged beverages. Condiments, think of that, like sauces, hot mustards, ketchups, mayonnaise, all of these things, these little tiny things, they all add up. But of course, the day-to-day operations of your food truck, they are important. Cooking equipment, paper plates, napkins, or utensils. So small wares, as they're known in the food industry, these are things that are disposable. If it's the packaging for your food product that you're selling through your food truck, all of that is, of course, expenses related to it. Advertising or marketing. So even if you're running even marketing ads, believe it or not, on Facebook to promote, an event that your food truck's going to be at, all of those advertising and marketing expenses, whether they be just a couple $100s a month or even just a few thousand, all of them add up and they are tax deductible. Commissary rental. So if you're renting a commercial kitchen or commissary kitchen for your food truck, that could be anywhere from a few $100s a month to a couple $1,000s a month. And those mostly, as I just mentioned before, are a must. You have to have your truck attached to one. So those are also expenses which are considered tax deductible. Now, of course, if you have employees and you're paying them, obviously the salaries and benefits. If you've got any type of retirement account or if you've got other benefits that are related to them working with you, those are things that you need to bring to your accountant and let them look at for potential tax deductions. Now, this is something that's really, really interesting. And this actually goes across the board, not only for food trucks, but any type of food industry. Continuing your education through online courses, classes, digital downloads, digital files, books, anything related to you bettering your food truck business and bettering yourself to make your food truck business better, those can be tax deductible. Not a lot of people don't realize that. But if you have a certification program that you have to take every year, and let's say it costs you $100, $150, whatever it may be, and let's say all of your employees have to take that. All of those are expenses. You need to keep track of them. Very important, because that allows you to deduct those on your taxes too. Any safety training classes, safety courses, things that are required or not required, and you are putting your employees through them, those classes or courses, whatever it may be, if you're paying for that, then that's part of the expense. So keep in mind these 5 really huge tax deductible items that you can necessarily deduct every year. Bring them to your accountant. Let them know, hey, this is a list of a few things. Did you know I could do this and this? How do I get that onto my taxes so I can use that as an expense? And that would definitely help you guys out. So those are the 5 food truck tax deductions that really wanted to bring to mind, especially for that email that I got from one of you subscribers. And if you have any questions about your food truck business, let us know down in the comments, and we'll definitely get to it as soon as we can. We'll see you guys in our next video.